To the Unbiased Room. This week we're gonna be talking about week 4. All right. We got some good games this weekend. So we're gonna kick it off with AB. What game you excited about this week?
All right, man. So under the radar game is Minnesota and Iowa. I think that game is going to be very interesting. Both teams have good run games. Iowa has improved on offense this year, so I'm pretty interested to see how that game going to turn out.
All right, Ed, what you got?
Hey, besides my Miami game, which is going to be a tough one for him, but I'm interested to see this USC and Michigan. You know, I think we're going to see. I think USC is going to come in there and kind of wreck house, kind of like Texas did, but I don't think to that extreme. But I think USC is the better team. We'll see how Michigan's defense shows up and how they play them.
All right. The game I got was Oklahoma State and Utah. I mean, this could be the game for the Big 12 championship right here, right? I mean, both teams are doing well so far starting off this year, and I think a lot of people thinking they're the favorites. See how Mike Gundy does. They're at home. So let's see how that game, comes out. But that's the game I'm excited about today.
And I kind of agree with you, man. One of the things that that I don't think people understand, man, is that Mike Gundy is one of the best head coaches in college football. Period. This dude accomplishes so much with so little. This guy is signing 2 stars, no stars, and he's competing week in and week out, and that's tough to do.
Right. And I know, I remember when the 12-team playoff came up, we talked about coaches like, James Franklin, Lane Kiffin getting the opportunity to possibly be in the playoffs that they haven't had. Mike Gundy is another. You remember they had the opportunity to be in the playoffs, was it 2011, I think? And they ended up losing, and Alabama got in. That's when he had the rematch against LSU. But like you said, Mike Gundy's been solid, man. He just haven't been able to get over the hump. But this 12-team playoff is going to give him that opportunity to hopefully get in there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, since 2010, Oak State has had 8 seasons with at least 10 wins, man. And he's always had them pretty solid. 102 career wins in the Big 12. And, the Big 12, talking about Texas, Oklahoma time frame, right? He was still able to compete. Kansas State would pop in there with some really solid teams. He was able to have 10-win seasons when in good competition. So,
speaking of Kansas State, man, that's another sneaky game. They playing BYU, who's also undefeated, and coming into the season, BYU was only picked. I think the over/under for them for the season was like 4.5 games or 3.5 games, and they already won 3 games. So that could be a trap game for Kansas State.
Yeah,
and I think they're at BYU if I'm not mistaken.
They are.
Yeah,
they're at BYU.
Kansas State plays like just solid, normal football. Just it's not a lot of like crazy, exciting stuff, man. It's like it's like a dude with a hammer. Just it's solid, man. It doesn't change. Doesn't come up and down too much for me, but hey, we'll see how they do, man. Because I think, like you said, BYU can catch them slipping and easily surprise them, which I'm still going with.
So I think the game of the day today is Tennessee and Oklahoma, and Tennessee, man, they've been killing the game this year, and I see that last year, they averaged 448 yards of offense a game, right? 31 points a game. And now this year they like averaging 639 yards a game, which is almost a 200-yard difference. And they averaging 63 points a game. Now, today is going to be their first test, right? Nico, I can't pronounce his last name, but he's getting a lot of praise, right? And, I even seen a thing where they said if the draft was to happen today with all underclassmen, he would be the second quarterback to get drafted, right? So I know everybody's talking about the offense for Tennessee, but one thing they haven't talked about is their defense. Last year, their defense was 33rd in the nation. This year, right now, They're second, giving up only 160 yards a game. So I think this is going to be a good test for Tennessee today against Oklahoma. I know Oklahoma's offense hasn't been as good, but I still think this is a great test to see where Tennessee really is.
I agree. One thing to mention is that I don't know the exact number, but Tennessee hasn't beat a ranked opponent on the road, and I think 25. I think it's 25 games. I gotta look up that stat, but it's been a while since they won a ranked game on the road.
Hey, Tennessee's been getting a lot of hype, man. So to me, it's like, and rightfully so. They offensively, the way Nico's been throwing the ball, man, there is a lot of talent in that QB position. So we'll see. Oklahoma, it's not. I don't think this is the Oklahoma team that we're used to seeing when they have good offense, balanced team, right? I think Tennessee takes this one, but we don't know. We see how Oklahoma comes out. But I just think Tennessee is just a better team.
Yeah. They look more put together, man. I just don't. Tennessee just haven't been tested yet, and I've seen Nico struggle a little bit throwing the ball down the field versus NC State, whose defense is not as good as Oklahoma. So what's going to happen in this game?
Yeah, I mean the biggest thing about Tennessee, they spread you out, man, and they quick to get the ball snapped. If you're trying to do substitutions, anything. So, I hope Brent Venables is, really ready for this game. I'm pretty sure he's had weeks and weeks to prepare for him. Like I said, Oklahoma's defense is solid, and maybe they may give Nico some problems in the back end, right? Pressure him up front, but man, I'm really curious to see how Tennessee does. Because they're starting to get into that stretch now, where they'll start playing the really good teams.
Yeah, they're in Oklahoma. So then they got Arkansas, Florida, Bama, Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Georgia. That's the meat of their schedule right there. So
yeah. OU has they're missing a lot of people too through injuries on the offensive side of the ball. I think they're missing corner Gentry Williams. Who's their best cover corner. He's not playing. Jalil Farouk, I think he's out. I'm not sure if he's out for the year, but I think he fractured his foot. One of their top receivers. What's the linebacker? Dalen McCutcheon, I think, for Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. He's not playing. So they're missing some key players, which I think will have an effect on them.
Yeah, I know we talked about Tennessee and NC State, but NC State got a good one at home or at Clemson today too, and I'm excited to see what Clemson's about with this, because NC State 2-1, Clemson 1-1. We've seen NC State was pre-ranked top 25, I believe, earlier in the season, and we'll see who Clemson is. I guess this will be the Clemson's show me what you got game here.
Yeah, and then I was looking Clemson in 2 weeks. They got Florida State, coming there, which I think, again, they could show that they're the second best team in the ACC behind Miami. So, like they said, right now the only solid team in the ACC as of right now is Miami, right? Okay. So who is that second team?
The rest of their conference looking shaky.
Hey, man. Hey, shout out to the newcomer Cal. You know what I'm saying? They're looking all right.
I mean, yeah. Speaking of the show me what you got, Florida State gonna have to show us what they got. They play Cal today.
That's what I'm saying. So, Cal's gonna beat the brakes off of Florida State.
Hey, man, starting off 0-4 is like.
This is crazy to say. Florida State will be 0-4 after the day.
We talking about a team that went 13-0 last year, man. And then lost obviously in the bowl game, but goodness gracious, that's crazy.
Travis, the only reason they didn't even get into the playoffs because Jordan Travis was injured. So if he's not injured, they get in, and who knows how they would have done.
Because I mean, they weren't the same team without him. I
No.
mean, we've
Right.
seen that when they played the conference championship game.
Yeah, I saw a stat. It said the Florida State is the first team in history to start the season ranked in the top 10, but lose the first 3 games of the season to unranked teams.
Making history.
And I don't know how true this is, but was it Norvell said something? If anybody else would have faced 3 powerhouses back to back, I was like, whoa! I don't know how, let me. I'm not gonna cite the source. I'm not gonna say that was real, but hey man, Boston. To me, the game that sticks out the most, besides Memphis, we knew Memphis was good, right? They were a solid team.
Yeah.
Boston College really opened my eyes of how badly prepared Florida State was. How they didn't look right at all, man.
Yeah. And again, it's that flip side of the coin. Like I said before, Norvell did well in the transfer portal with the Brandon Fisk, the Jared Versus, the Jordan Travises, Keon Coleman's. But then this year, he didn't get it. You know what I mean? Those guys that he got from the portal just not panning out. DJU, them guys from Bama, none of them are panning out.
Wow.
That's tough.
Well, speaking of coaches that's struggling, what do you guys think about Florida? So they got a game today at Mississippi State. So what do you think is the future for not Mike Norvell, for Billy Napier?
I don't think he makes it. Oh, go ahead, Ed.
I say like my dog Juvenile said, it's on fire. That speed is on fire, man. I think he's gone, bro. I think at the end of the season, regardless, I don't think they're gonna bounce back or do too much noise. I think he's gone because they're talking about what's the Lane Kiffin coming in there and other people. I saw something somebody asked Urban Meyer would he be interested in taking a job, and he's like, no, that ship has sailed. But if they're floating, if everybody around you is floating names for your replacement, I don't think it's going to be a situation where he stays.
I agree. Their schedule is just too tough to overcome, man. I don't see it happening. He had his shot to really, if that game versus A&M is competitive, right, and they lose with a last-second field goal, and they go in and then they dominate Mississippi State this week, and then they look good. You know what I'm saying? It starts to build some momentum for him, but that didn't happen because he tried to rely on that 2-quarterback system, which did not work, right? Playing both guys versus A&M, that doesn't work. I do think they beat Mississippi State because Mississippi State is so bad. They only got 2 returning starters between offense and defense. They got a new head coach. They got a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. So I don't even think Mississippi State. I think they got their ass whipped by Toledo last week, if I'm not mistaken. Bad.
Yeah.
So I think Florida will beat them just because the talent on the other side of the ball. But I don't think Billy Napier's job is safe in no capacity.
No.
And you brought up Ed, you said Lane Kiffin. And so my question is, why would Lane Kiffin leave Ole Miss for Florida? I mean, Florida struggled, right? Only 2 coaches they've had recently that have had success there was Billy Napier. Not Billy Napier, I'm sorry. It was Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer. All the other coaches have struggled that's been there. So why would you leave Ole Miss, a program that hasn't really had a lot of success, but is having success under you, to go to Florida? I just don't see that.
I feel like they're going to throw a bag at them. And also the resources down here it's better. When you're comparing Florida, the region that he gets to recruit versus the region that he's recruiting in Mississippi, it's not even close, man.
Yeah, I saw something.
Nobody talks about Mississippi football. That's not. I've never heard that phrase before.
No.
not
It's straight
once.
Mississippi.
It's always, you know,
Yeah.
Texas football, Florida football. Yeah.
Well, what I think the best job is Florida, the better job, right? But if he jumps ship, man, like who knows when he does it? Because if he waits till the end of the season, then he's gonna run into that issue of recruiting, right? So when is so they go into the playoffs, and if they do, right, they have successful, they go into the playoffs. We're talking about late December. He's gonna get on.
Yeah, because signing day got moved up.
Yeah, signing day got moved up.
They changed that whole process. So now the early signing period, I want to say, is December the 6th this year.
Yeah, so you talking about jumping ship, going to Florida, having a shortened time to sign, or maybe even missing it at all, right? Leaving right now top, they're number 6. I think Ole Miss is number 6.
And what?
Yeah, they're ranked.
Recruiting class?
No, I'm talking about like rank wise. So you're gonna jump from a number 6 Ole Miss to.
No, I think they're number 7.
Number 7.
I think Tennessee is number 6.
It's just like it seems like everything around it is not lining up for him to leave Ole Miss. The money might be right, but the recruiting is going to be off. You're going to miss that recruiting timetable, right? And you're competitive this year, so you're going to if you win the SEC, you're going to make some noise into the playoffs, you know, or if you are.
Oh, my bad. Ole Miss is 5th.
5th, yeah.
Yeah, they're 5th.
So, while I think Florida is a better job, but it's not. It doesn't look like it's going to align for him, especially if Ole Miss performs how we think they're going to do this year.
Yeah.
So,
but also think about this: the team that he has right now. Think about all them players he brought into the portal, right?
Mm-hmm.
All those guys, mostly juniors. Lane Kiffin doesn't have a young team, so a lot of these kids gonna, move on to the draft, combine, all that stuff. So he pretty much gonna be start fresh. Quarterback too. Jackson Darter's going after this year. Mm-hmm. So this might be the good year for him to, move on.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like Florida shouldn't move on from Billy Napier unless they know they have someone solid coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of right. It's so early right now too, right? So we don't know what coaches are out there really that are like, okay, this is possibility to besides Lane Kiffin, which seems to be like the name that is keep coming up.
Right. But and usually the name that keep coming up, usually the name that don't get the job anyway.
Yeah. But
yeah, that's true.
I know, like you said, it's a little early to see, unless Billy Napier, fucking shits a brick for in the next few weeks, and they'll fire him mid-season. And have a
Another name I saw that was interesting was Marcus Freeman. He was like, if Notre Dame, if he wants to get out, from Notre Dame and make an impression, that to go to Florida, because he, like you said, he has a reputation as a great recruiter, right? He can go down to Florida, man, and kind of turn that program around. I thought that was an interesting name.
That is a.
Oh, hey man, talking about this. Was it Florida? Or was it Florida State? But I was watching this funny thing, man, talking about Randy Shannon, right? Randy Shannon has been on a fired coach's staff on every team in Florida and taken over as intern, right? Mm-hmm. So at some point, he'll be the head coach of Miami, USF. I think it was Florida or Florida State, and I think so. That's the two I'm getting mixed up. But yeah. I just found that funny, man, because when you were saying names,
I want to say he's on Florida State staff right now as the defensive coordinator. Yeah,
that's exactly it. So if Norvell gets gone, he'll be the intern head coach probably.
Yeah, they're not gonna fire Mike Norvell though, man. They're have to pay that dude way too much money.
Nah, man. Yeah. it could be like a fluke thing, man. Just the transfer portal didn't hit right. Just like gambling, right?
Yeah.
You ain't gonna hit every time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Billy Napier, on the other hand, I think this is now. I think he's more in danger because there hasn't been that jump, right? Where Florida State had that jump.
Yeah, I mean, you got to show progress year over year, and if you're not doing that,
Right.
you're not gonna keep your job. That's just.
Yeah. The Texas A&M game really hurt him. Really hurt his cause. I think losing to Miami, okay, but that Texas A&M, they just didn't have no fight. Like they said, you swapping quarterbacks every series.
Like, what
Graham
are you
Mertz
doing?
throw a touchdown. Then you bringing in DJ Lagway. Like, what are we doing? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
You got to stick with the high hand, man.
Yeah.
That shit has never worked anywhere that I've seen it, where they like one quarterback's in there and we're gonna bring another one. Like that shit.
Spurrier did it. I can't remember if they had a winning season or not, but I want to say he was switching out Jesse Palmer and somebody else. He was rotating them series, every series.
Old ball coach, man. That's it.
Stanford was doing it last night.
Yeah, beat Syracuse.
Yeah. I want to talk about that game for a second because that last play, did y'all watch the game?
No, I didn't see that one. I looked at Illinois, Nebraska.
Syracuse gets a big stop on third down, right? Now it's 3rd and 9. Stanford has to go for it, right? So instead of bracket coverage on their best receiver, they leave Stanford best receiver in man-to-man, and their corners playing press. Dumbest play call I've ever. It's like, what are we doing? They're going to him. So what they do? They throw a back shoulder. Yeah, they throw a back shoulder fade, and it's for like 14 yards, and this guy picks up the first down.
Yeah, but you got to remember now, Fran Brown just came from Georgia. He was the DB coach at Georgia. And what does Georgia do? He play man-to-man.
No safety help. That is terrible. He ain't got the athletes that he had in Georgia.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that was just – and as soon as they went out there, I can't remember who was calling the game. I think it was Andre Ware. Andre Ware was like, man, are they going man-to-man on Stanford's best receiver? Terrible call.
Easy call.
It was so bad. They had that game won. Had the game won, man.
I caught a few
stay in front of the sticks.
Yeah.
Play zone. You'll be good.
I saw a bit of it, man. I think one of Syracuse, I want to say one of their players, man, had a few drops earlier in the game.
He did. Yeah, on a critical, man. They needed the first down.
Like, the announcer was like, I can't remember what number he was. He's like, he looks off. Like,
yeah.
Even the announcer was like, the kid looks off. Usually he's one of the best, at contested catches. And he wasn't doing it.
That ball hit him right in the numbers.
Bro, McCord put it right there, like on the hand.
Bounced right off his chest.
Oh, man.
But they still, they fought in that game, was up 24-23, had a chance to win it, could have started the season off 4-0. But tough.
Stanford, man.
Yeah. What about the Nebraska-Illinois game?
That was a good game.
Yeah, it was.
I was switching back and forth. Overtime killed Nebraska. I don't know. Okay, Dylan Raiola, he's young, right?
Yep.
You got to recognize fronts, and he didn't do that, and he ended up taking negative yards the first 2 plays of overtime, and that killed him. They ended up being like, I think 3rd and 39, something crazy. Yeah, 3rd and 29.
Illinois number 24, 4-0. Nebraska. That was I didn't catch this game either, man, but I definitely thought that Nebraska was going to pull this out, right? When I looked at the matchup, I thought they were the better team, but
yeah.
Hey, Brett Bielema got them boys playing in Illinois, man.
Yeah, I was shocked when I seen that Illinois was ranked, and I was like, man, them boys is pretty good.
He got them playing, man. They look good on defense. They flying around. The quarterback looked good.
Yeah.
The running back was running hard.
But Brett Bielema has always been a good coach. Yeah, he struggled at Arkansas. But I mean, when he was at Wisconsin, he had Wisconsin good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think Arkansas just wasn't for him.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Who's Arkansas for though? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't. It's not even talking shit. Just I have not. Yeah. There hasn't been like a Arkansas is that team. And
hey, what's the name? Had them nice back in 2000.
Bobby Petrino.
Bobby Petrino. No, 2002. Yeah, 2002, 2003, 2004.
You talking about Bobby Petrino, or are you talking about Houston Nutt?
What year was that?
They had some players come out of there.
Yeah, man, they beat LSU in overtime. You remember them games?
I know what you're talking about.
Damn, what year was that?
Let's see.
When they had they were running the dual running backs. They had Darren McFadden out there, and
that's what.
Yeah, Felix Jones. That was Houston Nutt.
Felix Jones, yeah,
that was Houston Nutt.
What years were those?
That was like they were good, like 2002 to like 2006.
It's like me bragging about
the
Miami
years,
and you know what I'm saying? Like it's
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like I said, Arkansas just hasn't had it. And Bielema went down there. He left a good Wisconsin program where he had, I think, solid 10-win seasons for a while. Like he was there. You know, Wisconsin was always knocking at the door, and jumped down to Arkansas and didn't work out for him. I remember watching that's what I'm saying. Who you talking about? Houston Nutt. What years was he there? He left in 2007. So yeah, those were good years.
Yeah. Houston Nutt had him pretty good. Bobby Petrino had him pretty decent too. Before he got, of course, caught up with the whole thing with the motorcycle and all that.
And that man had the neck brace on, man.
Hey man, that's hilarious. This day.
Oh my goodness.
All right. I have another thing for you guys. So looking in the future, right? Is the playoffs. I mean, hey, we in week 4 now.
Yeah.
And now the teams are starting to go in conference. So what's some of the games within the next 3 to 4 weeks that you see that could have a big impact on the playoff run? On the team's playoff run?
Obviously, a lot of people will say the bigger games, right? You're going to hear people talk about, Georgia, Texas, but is that really going to have? I think both of them get in. You know what I mean? I think both teams, because I think the SEC is going to have 4 teams get in. Mm-hmm. So now it's going to have an impact on where they fall in the playoff picture, but I don't know if that's going to have an impact on a team making the playoffs.
Okay.
Like you were saying, like this week, we're talking about like in conference play, but like my Canes going to USF, but we saw how USF hung in with Alabama, right? So week 4 last year is when the Hurricanes had that meltdown against Georgia Tech. So what I'm saying, it's the teams that you walk in there and you expect to win, right? And teams that'll get you. So I'm looking right now. This is one of the games that Miami could slip under, but then we have that Cal and the stretch between Cal and Louisville in October. You get into the middle of the season, injuries start to become an issue, and if you're winning, complacency. Did I say that right? Being complacent. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but no, there's what's Texas game that's like a trap game? You know what I'm saying? That if they roll in there half stepping.
Before I answer that, I am going to backtrack. The Georgia Texas game will be an issue because
Thank you.
Georgia has to play Alabama, who I think Alabama's going to give them a run for their money next week. If they lose to Bama and then end up losing to us too, it's going to be hard for them to get in.
Yeah.
It'll be hard for them to get in.
Yeah, and they still got to go to Ole Miss too. And Ole Miss's schedule is not as hard as it usually is. And they don't play Georgia till closer to the end of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did have Georgia. They got two tough ones. You know, I know they're 2.5-point favorite right now going into Bama. I think that's a game they got to win, especially coming off the showing they had last week. I do think that they were holding back and was just trying to win off of talent. However, I do think they have talent issues at receiver and tight end. I don't think they have game breakers there like they've had in the past with Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers. Dominique Lovett is really their only burner. I know you got Dylan Bell. He's a good, possession receiver. And then you have Travis Etienne. Or not Travis Etienne. Trevor Etienne.
Yeah.
And he struggled last weekend, right, against Kentucky. So I'm just kind of Georgia's gonna really have to show up. And I think it's kind of a scary thing that they struggled with Kentucky, because now I think they are going to show up against Bama. So, but it's going to prove a lot, man. That game is going to be, it's going to be tough. And then, like I said, if they lose and then have to go to Texas, and the way Texas is playing right now, could Georgia really, can the offense? I know the defense is going to bring it, but can their offense hang with Bama scoring and Texas scoring and Ole Miss scoring? Can their offense do that? And I don't know if they can.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. Ole Miss, man. That the game in the SEC that I think could have some is the when Ole Miss heads to South Carolina on October 5th. Right? They South Carolina it's in South Carolina. Places was jumping against LSU.
Yeah, well, they're gonna be hyped for that game.
Super good defensive team.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot better than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
Way better, man. Because quarterback play is what lost them that game towards the end, right? Their star quarterback, he went down, I think, in the third.
Yep.
Young guy.
Yep. Robbie Ashford, he came from Auburn. He's not a quarterback. I mean, he's not a good passer. He's a good runner. Yeah. And that hurt them.
That hurt them
bad.
Yeah.
That
hurt them bad.
That deflated USC there, the Gamecocks. But Ole Miss rolling 2 there could be one of those games where they leave there with a loss, right? That changes the top 5 or the top 6 right there. Ole Miss could drop a game there, changes the playoff picture, the SEC championship picture.
Yeah,
it could, man. And to answer your question earlier, you asked me about what game do I think is a trap game for Texas. And mine is at Arkansas. It's just Fayetteville, man, is a tough place to play.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama snuck up out of there a couple of years ago with a dub. It's just a tough environment, man. And we lost there 3 years ago. So that's a tough place to play.
Yeah, and for me, I had Ohio State and Oregon. I think the game's October. I think I've seen October 21st or something like that.
It's October 12th.
Yeah, October 12th.
Ooh, that's a huge weekend.
It's in Oregon
for college football.
Yeah, I think Ohio State is like today. They play Marshall, right?
Yeah.
They ain't played nobody.
Yeah, that's gonna be really like their first big test before they get into like Penn State and some other teams I saw. But I think, man, Ohio State, they're gonna have to bring it, man. Then they're going on the road to Oregon.
And Oregon finally woke up last week.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Against Oregon State.
And one thing about Oregon, they got a veteran quarterback in Dylan Gabriel. I think this is his 6th or 7th year.
7th year
football. Yeah, 7th year. So, they got a veteran out there who, and There's nothing new to
Throw
him
that
under the
back.
sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
But you're right, man. And I think that was the game that I was going to bring up next too. That could change the playoff pictures. Oregon has everything's lining up for Oregon, man. They just got to execute. Right? They got like you said, the experience. They have last year's run to build off of. And I think Ohio State is a little bit I don't want to say as loaded as they had been in the past.
Yeah. But USC plays Michigan today.
yeah.
So that's going to be, it's going to tell us because that game is at Michigan, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Mhm. It is.
So that's going to tell us if USC is real or not, right? How do they show up?
I think USC is real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking USC by minimum 2 touchdowns against Michigan. Minimum.
Yeah, because they switching quarterbacks again. Davis Warren got the bench. They're coming in with Alex Ojori, and he's more of a running type quarterback.
Yeah.
Only thing I can see is maybe Michigan play keep away and keep the ball out of USC's hands.
Because they got good running backs, man.
Donovan Edwards. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other one that he has McMillans or Mullins. I think it's Mullins.
Yeah. So
I'm looking at SC schedule, right? They got Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota. That Penn State, Penn State's coming to them.
Yep.
And they got Maryland, Rutgers. They're at Washington. Nebraska just go out to them. UCLA, and then they wrap up against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm telling you right now, man, Lincoln Riley having a better season than a lot of people thought that they would have. And the schedule is looking pretty good for them. They're not going to lose to Wisconsin. Now the Penn State game they could possibly lose, but I still think they could beat. I even think now that they could beat Notre Dame.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think USC, like I said, if they don't follow into these trap games, man, they're gonna walk into Notre Dame undefeated. And I think Notre Dame about to take that L with them.
Yeah, Riley
Leonard is their schedule, man. Like you said, they have a very favorable, winnable schedule.
Yeah. Because a lot of people thought they were gonna lose the LSU game. A lot of people, still thought they were gonna lose the Penn State and Notre Dame, which would be 3 losses. They would be out of the college football playoff talk. But with them winning that LSU game and Michigan, a lot of people kind of figured they may struggle against Michigan, but Michigan's not looking as good. I think they're gonna go in there and, like you said, 2 touchdowns on Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lincoln Riley and finally figured out some defense.
Yeah, that was a smart call, man, on his part, man.
Yeah. To bring in D'Anthony Lynn Jr. Yeah, that was a smart move.
Yeah.
Schedule. And like I said, the ACC is just Miami. Miami has their own destiny in their hands, but I don't think anybody else at an ACC going to make a playoff push type. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know today, North Carolina got an undefeated James Madison team. We'll see how
North Carolina just switched quarterbacks again too. Max Johnson got hurt in that first game, and then Connor Harrell, who's from Alabama, he just got benched for another quarterback. So he's supposed to be making his first start today.
You got this in the ACC right now, unbeaten. We got Cal, Duke, North Carolina, Pittsburgh, Louisville. So, I think
Pittsburgh looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, that backyard brawl, that was a good one.
Yeah, man, Cal. I'm in all seriousness, man, Cal and Stanford is looking like pretty good additions for the ACC.
Not a fan
right now. Well, a lot of people wasn't happy with it, but they look like pretty good additions for the ACC right now.
They do.
They do. I agree.
And when you guys kind of opened my eyes to this last year, right? At the end of the day, it's about viewership, bringing money into the conference, right? So now we got these West Coast teams And Cal, it's not a football school, but they beat Auburn. So what do you think the West Coast, over there, they're like, hey, we beat an SEC team,
Yeah.
They're tuning in.
And they're hyped for that Florida State game today.
This is going to be another powerhouse team that Cal's going to knock off in their eyes, right? And that's the thing. We're talking about different fan bases, right? If you talk to somebody from, down south that are like, watch football, they're like, oh, yeah, no. Florida State, that's the easy win. You know what I'm saying? Especially after this year. But, Cal thinks they're feeling themselves. They're riding high after that Auburn win. And I think they take another one today.
Hey, they got the cheat sheet, man. Run the ball nonstop. Just run the ball. They can't stop the run.
They cannot.
Yeah.
And hit them on some running back in the flat. They can't stop that either.
Can't stop that either. Can't stop that either.
Yeah.
Could you imagine just being in FSU's like film session? Just man, like,
buddy over there, he's like, you pissed down your leg. What's his name?
not really an athlete.
Not really.
Yeah. And you know what? I feel bad for him, man, because a lot of people kind of like, DJU coming there. A lot of people thought, well, hey, maybe he'd just be a good stopgap. But man, because he had a decent season at Oregon State last year. But man, I mean, when the lights came on, he looked like the same quarterback at Clemson, right? Like, man.
I don't know, man. I think he should have played Oregon State. Man. Like you said, feel bad for the player, right? At the end of the day, for the athlete. Yeah. He was doing the thing at Oregon State, and you come back to the ACC, and you're looking like the same guy from 3 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago, yeah. I was just like, man, just should have stayed out west. Maybe that plays to your strengths better, but
yeah,
that Florida fan base is eating them up.
Yeah, and that's what I wonder. How much longer is Norvell gonna stick with him as the starting quarterback too? I know they got a whole lot of other issues.
Issues.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, is Norvell gonna continue to pin his hopes on DJU? Or go ahead and start playing some freshmen and, Brock Glenn, who's sitting there. Like, is he going to start trying to play some of them other guys?
Bro, I think
they got to figure it out.
Yeah, we had this conversation when he was at Clemson. We're talking about the head coach. He stuck with DJ when he had Klubnik, who had the hot hand towards the end of the season, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the same situation at Florida State. Like, are you going to stick with DJ, who we seen and it's not all him. At this point, you got to stir the pot. You got to shake it up, man. You got to do something to change what's going on. And it's
crazy to think that DJ was the number 2 quarterback coming out of high school, man. Number 2 in the nation.
Yeah. Yeah, and I always think about with DJ too, when, like I said, it was that Clemson game. I think he was playing Georgia Tech, and and then when he had it was when he was still at Clemson, they was playing Georgia Tech. I think it was a Monday night game, and then they ended up bringing Cade Klubnik in, and everybody went crazy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, they was tired of DJ, and I don't know, man. I just hope they get it together, man.
Nah, man.
Yeah, Florida State being good is good for college football. So
it is.
They one of them programs.
It is.
Speaking of good programs, Miami's doing well. You know that Cam Ward, man, is the prohibitive favorite to win the Heisman right now, like plus 550.
Oh man, like I said, the numbers they've been putting up, because even the defense, stats are up there. His throwing numbers are up there. His touchdown, but the on-field tangibles, man, like Cam Ward, he threw that pick against Florida. Immediately runs to the sideline, gets on the thing, on the little pad, which is new now, right? Seeing what comes out next series, executes. So I think he's a solid leader, man, leading that team. And I think that's what we've been missing in Miami, is a solid leader at QB.
Yeah, I said that, remember I told you that last year, man. I said well, I think I said that last week, but that's what they needed. Tyler Van Dyke, everybody kind of thought he would be that person and he wasn't.
Yeah.
And that's all they really needed, man. They got a lot of talent, man. What's his name is Mario Cristobal has built up that team, right? With talent. He's brought talent in there. They just needed, somebody that could lead them, and that's the guy.
And I don't know, man. You talking about like, you see the early 2000s teams, right? And late 90s teams. They didn't have great quarterbacks, but they had super talent around them, right? Ken Dorsey wasn't no quarterback.
He wasn't no world beater. No.
That's right. He didn't make mistakes. But the game has changed, man. The game has evolved from those days. Like,
yeah,
bad QB, you ain't gonna win.
You can't just have a game manager nowadays. It's impossible, man.
Yeah,
that don't work at the quarterback position.
Mm-hmm.
That does not work. Not nowadays. You got to be a game changer.
Defenses are faster. They're smarter, right? When it comes to coverage high, it's not some of the same. You're seeing different coverages, different schemes, and you can't just expect a game manager. You throw him on a good team, you ain't gonna win it. So Cam Ward comes in and makes him a legit contender, man. And I said today it's gonna be a lot closer than I think it. People think it should be, but that's not bad, right? Every great team that we've seen throughout the years, they always have that game where they had to pull it together to win. You know what I'm saying? So, but for the Heisman, man, that'd be big. Miami bringing the Heisman contender, possibly winner.
If he keep playing at the clip that he playing at, man, that's gonna be his, man.
Was it? Has Miami had a Heisman? I think so.
You say what?
Has Miami had a Heisman winner?
Yes.
Yeah.
Gino Torretta.
Vinny Testaverde and Gino Torretta.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was like. It's been a long time because
it's been ages.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gino Torretta, Vinny. It's the two. That's mind blowing when you think about all the Hall of Famers that have come through that program, right?
Right.
Yeah, stacked with talent. Yeah.
Because I'm like, wait a minute, man. Y'all didn't think Ed Reed was worthy of a, Heisman back then?
He need to do a little bit more, man. Like some Charles Woodson.
He didn't play both.
Yeah.
He was a punt returner, I think, on some plays. Sean Taylor. I remember seeing a Sean Taylor bring one back, man, against Florida State, and they was hitting out there, man. He ran through.
Yeah.
Good old days,
Sean Taylor was different.
He was. Well, what about so Quinn Ewers was mentioned in the conversation. Now Arch Manning is going to be making his first start today.
Yes,
what do you think? How do you think he's going to do today?
He's going to do well, but people have to understand, right? I'm seeing people on the fan boards, talking. Oh, he's gonna throw for 600 yards. Like this is different from you coming in to replace somebody, because now they're calling plays for you, but you're playing the game based on football instincts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now you're starting. The game plan is based around you, so now you have to go out there and execute the game plan. I think those are two totally different things. I think he is going to have a good game. I mean, we're not playing we're playing ULM, so they're 2-0, but they haven't played nobody. Jackson State and somebody else they done played. Who they've held scoreless, I think. I think they're 62 points to 0, something like that. But I'm not. Yeah, UAB. So I'm not too worried about. Sark is gonna. Not Sark. Arch is gonna have a good game.
Yeah,
250 plus, 3 touchdowns.
Okay.
But I think last week, I mean, if you're a Texas fan, this has got to be exciting, right? Because you you already know who your number one guy is, and he's going to be a front runner on a Heisman, and he's going to be on. And he delivered. It wasn't just hype, right? He came in last week and lit him up, and he was running. He didn't look like Peyton out there, like a.
Oh no!
Like he got bricks in his. His shoes, man. He actually moving.
Yeah,
Arch different, man. Arch got wheels, man.
Yeah, I think he surprised everybody with that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And
put the safety on skates.
Next year, he's the dude.
That's why it's so important to build depth in your roster, because some people can't get their second string QB to come in and perform like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now it's hard because if you don't have people that's willing to be patient and wait their turn and develop the right way, it's not going to work. But he was willing to wait his time, get better, develop, and I mean, you're seeing the result of that.
Remember, we watched a couple clips of him versus high school competition, and how there was
we did. Yeah.
It looked like he was playing against some soft.
And people was giving him crap for that. They was talking about, he shouldn't be no 5-star.
Right.
He got 3-star talent. Now he kind of silencing the haters right now.
Yeah,
with his play.
Your point that you were making, there's people that's talking about him starting or coming in and playing freshman year. And I'm like, nah.
Yeah,
right.
It was good that Ewers was there and that he's still developing, right? So when he's taking reins, he's going to be ready.
Oh,
As a freshman, he would have been 8 up, back there.
But see, that's the thing, and you just hitting on it, something that I think is even going to start happening back in the NFL as well.
Mm-hmm.
He came in as a freshman, and he was allowed to sit and watch and get better, right? Instead of coming in and trying to make him, the guy soon as he comes in, right? Like they said, going back to the NFL, like now what's going on with Bryce, right? Patrick Mahomes sat his first year. He didn't come in and played his first year. He sat in and watched, right? And I think that's what, I think is going to start to happen again. I think that cycle's coming back where people are not going to come in and put all these expectations on a guy coming in their first game, their first season, and expecting them to be all world, right? Get them the opportunity to get better.
No, I think what's his name? Sark was the right guy to be at the helm too, because the wrong head coach is going to take the cameras, the noise, and run with it. Right? You got a Manning on your team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got football royalty on your team. You're going to do something with it. Sark, hey, put him in the box. Hey, you got to have to earn it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
But. See what we got. Hey, talking about, man. I know we focus on college, man, but Bryce, man, needs they need to put a line around him, man. Hey, that was a tough thing to do, to walk in and expect, results like that when the team around him is not good. I think the coaching there it's not just a quarterback thing, it's a culture thing, right? I think Tom Brady
that's a coach.
He said that they expect they had dumbed the game down, and that's not to say the players are not smart, but they expect them to perform so quickly that they have to simplify it for them to perform, right? They have to dumb it down for them to perform. And at first I was like, man, Tom old ass, he just talking from retirement, but no, it does make sense, right? When you see these rookies and these young talent come in there and they struggle, they didn't have time to learn and develop.
Right. Yeah, I'm telling you, I think that cycle's coming back, man. I think they're gonna get back to the point where their expectations is not for them to come right in and start, but to develop, right, and be ready to take over the team. Start, building them pieces around them and stuff like that, for them to get ready to take over the team, but not come right in and do that. I think that Carolina situation is going to be a case study, man, for a while. Oh, yeah. And not to say that, Bryce deserves some of the blame himself now. Not putting it all on the organization and the owner, but you know
Yeah.
he didn't look. He hasn't looked well either, man.
No.
Which is crazy, right? Because I mean, you got paid, you expected to perform, right? It's not college anymore. You're a
Yeah.
professional at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't.
You're getting
it's
paid to
not
do
like-
this job, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know, like they said, man, you know, I mean, Baker Mayfield, he struggled. You know,
Mhm.
and look at him now. He's like one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL right now. You know, but it took him years, you know, Cleveland Browns, Carolina Panthers, with the Rams. You know, he's been with a few teams, man. So
Sometimes it just
Browns
takes
are
time,
sick.
man. It just takes time.
yeah.
It just takes time.
Yeah. All right. Well, hope you guys enjoyed these games today. Hope you enjoyed this live stream that we did.
Yeah,
All
man.
right.
Don't
Hey, I
forget to
appreciate
like,
y'all
subscribe,
tuning
leave a comment. Join us next week. You know, week 5 preview. There's some big games next week. And I think they just announced that College Game Day is going to be in Tuscaloosa
Of course.
for the game, of course. Right? No surprise there. So,
Hey,
take
to
care.
those Tuscaloosa fans.
All right. Peace.
Peace.